right. This should be fun.
Well, I hope so.
And if not, I'm never doing it again.
Fine. Every time I lean on that table, it tilts.
Yeah, we're going to have... We'll have to fix it. But that's a great way to open.
Good cold open for sure.
Yeah, man,
Table
a wobbly
falling apart.
table. Well, this makes me more excited to be here with you. What the heck are we doing?
How's it going, Trey?
I'm doing really well. It's what, Wednesday?
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
And the weather's nice, and it didn't rain on us in here, so that's great.
Yeah, it's very noisy in here when it rains.
Absolutely.
So our buddy Mike Fuse is on vacation this week, so I'm very happy to have you here doing Last Call.
Dude, I'm thrilled to be here with you.
We always have great conversations when we get together and talk, so I feel like we're going to have a lot of interesting stuff to go on about.
I think so, too. Hopefully we don't bore anybody, and I don't go on a long rangetant, but we'll see.
Feel free. Feel free.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to talk about the post office, but before I do that, I want to pour some of this
Yeah,
Luna
so...
liqueur.
Yeah, can you give me a little bit of... Well, you pour, and I'll ask some questions.
Go ahead.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly, where was it made?
So this is made by a company called Don Ciccio and Figli, which is Don Ciccio and Sons in Italian.
Okay.
They're based in North D.C., and you can go up there if you live in D.C. and get a tour and do all tasting of all their stuff. They do like aperitifs and digestive liqueurs, very old school Italian style.
Nice.
Just pouring a little bit out.
Thank you.
It's a little bit strong to drink straight, but it's tasty.
So is there a proper way I need to drink this? Do I need to
just sip
smell
it if I were you.
Would you be offended if I didn't smell it?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Do whatever you want to do.
And sips, correct?
Yeah, I'd sip it. It's not the kind of thing you want to shoot.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers. What do you think?
I just didn't expect that flavor.
Right?
But it's so weird, it's good. I don't even know what it is, but I like it. But I wouldn't chug it.
It works good as a cocktail ingredient. It works good with soda water, and it works
Yeah.
good straight.
You know, it's sad. I was a bartender at one point in my life, and I know none of this stuff. So
Yeah.
shows you, I was just slinging margaritas that were pre-made.
Yeah.
All right, USPS, right? Is that
Right.
what we're
So
going
everybody's
for?
freaking out about the post office, and they think that Trump is trying to destroy it. And I've been trying to figure out what this story is about because I keep hearing hysteria about it, and it's really hard to get any facts.
Okay.
So like I did some research, and like everybody's just screaming, and there's no facts. But from my understanding, the Democrats want mail-in voting for everybody because of COVID.
Okay.
In November. And so they want to give the post office a bunch of extra money to help them do that.
Sure.
And Donald Trump doesn't want to let them have that money because their post office is $9 billion in the hole. They're horribly inefficient and they're very far in debt. Doesn't want to give them any extra money. And everybody's screaming that he's trying to rig the election and sabotage the election and destroy the post office.
Sure.
Now, he probably is trying to rig the election because everybody's trying to rig every election.
Absolutely.
You know, everybody wants to win. And so I don't have any doubt that Trump wants to rig the election in his favor. And I don't have any doubt that Biden and Harris want to rig the election in their favor. But, you know, I think it's an interesting, uniquely kind of DC perspective that not increasing funding of something is the same as trying to decrease funding of it and trying to destroy it.
Yeah. And what's kind of funny is you just explained all of that. And I don't even watch the news. So this is all new to me, and hearing you say all this, it's honestly like something out of like a comedy show or something. Like
Yeah.
it's almost fake. Now that being said, you know, my immediate reaction is, I guess, Orange Man bad, and that's one thing. And then, man, I just don't even know the last time I sent something in the mail.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the left is very devoted to the post office for some reason. And it's a horribly inefficient service. It's not making any money. It's not really supposed to make money, but it's losing tons and tons of money.
Totally.
Stamp prices keep going up. No one uses it. It's only used for junk mail pretty much at this point. And they have terrible customer service.
Yeah, I've got a big issue with you saying, you know, $9 billion in debt or whatnot. I mean, any other business, and sorry, your doors are closed. Goodbye. Your service stinks. No, thank you. We don't feel sorry for you. I mean,
Yeah.
People would people do this for Amazon? I don't think so. And Amazon provides a hell of a lot more than, you know, the post office does. So.
Yeah, I had some people saying the post office does a good job, which I don't think they do. But like anybody, if you give them $9 billion and say you don't have to make a profit, just go spend $9 billion, anybody could do a good job with anything with that.
I think the harsh reality is most of us have good experiences with our mailman, mailwoman, whatever. You know, I like them. I wave to them. They're very nice. I don't want them to lose their job. But then again, I see the Amazon guy 3 or 4 times a day. I see the UPS guy. I see the FedEx guy. I don't know. They're making money and doing it the right way. I think, unfortunately, the mailman and mailwoman need to go work for these other companies.
Right. So there's a couple things. Like, first of all, the argument that I always hear from the left is that we need the post office for people who live out in rural areas. They live at the middle of nowhere on the end of a 20 mile dirt road. And if they didn't have that, it'd be too expensive to get the mail out to them, and we have to have that. And my answer to that is like, there's trade-offs in life, right? If you want to live by yourself at the end of a 20 mile dirt road, maybe you're going to have really cheap rent and really cheap land, but it's going to cost you more to get your, fiber internet laid. It's going to cost you more to get your electricity laid. It's going to cost you more to get your plumbing laid. It makes more sense that you're going to have to pay a little bit more for a postman to drive down that road. The idea that everything should be the same price for everybody everywhere is a little bit silly to me.
So I've got a question for you. Yeah. Let's say they're going to get the money. All right, we would both agree, correct? Even if these people are crying that Trump's not going to give them, and then Trump's saying he's not going to give them anything, like they're going to give, right?
Yeah.
We would agree with that. My question is, would you be willing to give what if the post office had to innovate? Like, why are these people not using drones? Like you just described that going down an old dirt road. Why can't the mailman update its way of operations and kind of use technology? Instead of him having to drive that far, would it be more efficient for him to be sitting in one spot delivering that piece of mail through a drone or something? Yeah. I know I'm going off in a weird place.
No, I mean, it's a good question. And the part of the reason for that, I think, is that there's a lot of laws from the regulations from the Federal Aviation Administration, which you are aware of because you pilot a drone.
I do. I'm not a registered pilot, though.
It's hard to make drones useful because there's a lot of rules about what you can do with them.
Sure.
But another problem, I think, is that the post office is actually they're legally prevented from having any competition. They have a legal monopoly, and people don't realize this because FedEx and UPS exist, obviously, but it's against the law for another company to carry first class mail like letters and stuff. Only the post office is legally allowed to do that.
Gotcha.
So when you have a legally protected monopoly and you don't have to make money, you don't have to compete with anybody, and you're just given money by the government, there's really no reason to innovate. I was talking to someone who was familiar with the post office, I think used to work there, and he talked about all the old letter sorting machines that they have that are basically obsolete.
Yeah.
That they're still just sitting around, and they could get rid of those and modernize, but they just don't have the incentive to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have competition, why would you do anything? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Competition motivates people to do things. And it's interesting. One of my favorite thinkers from the past is an anarchist individualist named Lysander Spooner.
Oh, we have a sticker
of him. Yeah. He was from the 19th century, and he was this kooky lawyer who was a super anarchist, and he actually started a competing postal service and eventually got shut down by the feds. But, he wrote this great essay called The Constitution of No Authority about how people, this is a tangent, but I want to introduce people to Lysander Spooner, about how you can't be bound by a contract that your ancestors signed.
Okay.
And so all the things the government is allowed to do to us, well, we didn't agree to that. People 200 years ago agreed to that. And how can we be bound by their agreement? So that was his argument. And I think he's a really interesting thinker, and people should check him out.
Yeah. Well, one, I like the sticker, and I've seen it. He's got the big beard. Correct?
Yeah, he's crazy white beard, really weird looking guy, but he was a really eccentric and interesting thinker, wrote a lot of good stuff.
My question to those people that want it to stay open or want all the money to bail it out, but is when is the time, or where is the tipping point? Because it just seems that, I mean, this happens every few years, right? We have this dumb conversation about the Postal Service. Am I wrong?
No, we do.
I mean, isn't the Postal Museum right up the road?
Yeah, Postal Museum is right by Union Station.
Nobody even goes in there.
I've been there. It's a great museum. You should check it out.
Oh, gosh.
If the museums ever reopen again.
Well, they better if they get this money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things, man, where it's honestly a hysterical argument, and it's one of those sentimental things I think people just get upset with because it's the grass is always greener, or I want it to stay around. Oh, grandma or camp, I got letters. Do kids get letters at camp anymore?
I don't know if kids even go to camp anymore. I'm not tuned into that world at all.
What is happening?
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Speaking on what's going on in the world, how's life with you outside of the Postal Service? What's good? What is your day-to-day looking like?
Life has been good for me lately. I did some traveling earlier this month, but I'm kind of back in D.C. now, and I'm chilling out and reading a lot and trying to get back to writing my book. And things have been good. I've been relaxed about things. It's this year I've been really struggling with anger at the world because things have gotten so crazy, and all the COVID lockdown policies really made me angry at first. And it's like the country's gone crazy. People just don't have a spine to stand up to authority anymore. And I really struggled with that for a lot of time, maybe 3 or 4 months. I really had a hard time with it, and I'm kind of past it now.
Gotcha.
And I'm in a more kind of whatever happens kind of mindset. So we'll just see what goes on.
It's funny you say that because I'm a little background. I'm at home with a pregnant wife, a 2-year-old child, and I work from home. So we're we're dealing with some of the same things that I think you're dealing with, other than I think, we're dealing with it as a group, and, no school, me being at home all the time is taking a little bit of a toll. And then, my family's we're not on board with the mask thing, and I don't want my son to be wearing a mask. So it's always this weird, like, I think what you're describing being angry is when we go outside and we're trying to do normal things and what we think is normal and not give in to this new normal, is that it's just not much fun, and it's very hostile, even if you're not actually communicating with someone, just actually looking at them with the mask or them giving us...
it turns everybody into enemies of each other. So,
Yeah.
you used to go outside and you smile at your neighbors and the people in the park down the street, and you'd wave at each other, and now everybody's looking at you like, you're a threat to me. You're a danger.
I will push back on the neighbor thing. I've actually gotten closer to my neighbors, but I will say when I go out into like Target and things like that, that's where it becomes hostile. But as far as my neighborhood goes, and my neighborhood's filled of anywhere from people up in their 80s all the way down to younger families, and there's about 50 households, but we've actually become tighter because of this, and I think it's because everyone's out and about, and they're sharing their experiences together, and especially some of the older folks that are single or widowers or widowies, I don't even know the word nowadays, we find ourselves communicating. But
yeah, I think where you live is a part of that as well, because you live in a more relaxed part of town. I live in basically downtown DC, and like I was out in the park yesterday, and there's normally just people with their dogs and their kids having fun, and now everybody's got a mask on. I was walking through the park, I was like, there wasn't another person within 30 feet of me.
Yeah.
And this woman comes up to me and is like pointing at her mask and like, you need to be wearing a mask. It's like, what is the risk here? I'm outside. I'm 30 feet away from every individual.
Why can't she just go inside?
Yeah.
Take your opinion. Yeah. So that's the unfortunate thing is, I think as we talk about all this stuff is like, it's like we're all stereotyping whatever we're looking at, and since we now are not even communicating that much, and you can't see the mouths or the little signs that we give one another without saying anything, it's weird, man.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, is that kind of nonverbal communication is curtailed. Like, people don't realize how much of communication is nonverbal. It's through your expression on your face and your hands and everything. Yeah. Not being able to see people's mouths, it made it a lot harder to communicate with people.
Have you awkwardly been someplace, had your mask on, and you were smiling and thought that they were seeing your smile, and then all of a sudden it's like reality hits and you're like, I have this dumb mask on, and I know absolutely. I'm smiling, they have no idea, and I'm
it's like being on the internet, like where you tell a joke and no one can tell it's a joke unless you put a little smiley face at the end of it, but you can't do the smiley face because you don't have a mask on.
It's we're going to get through whatever this crap is or whatever we're conceding to. But I feel bad because I think, as I asked you how you're doing and how I'm doing, I think overall we're probably doing pretty good compared to most.
Well, we're lucky because we can largely work from home. And
Absolutely.
We don't have a job where we have to go in and interact with the public. So it's easier for us than for a lot of people. And I feel real bad for people who have to actually go into work and deal with the public and who are maybe not allowed to do that right now.
Yeah. If anything, I hope that those that are staying home, I'm self-taught in this industry, videographer, cinematographer. You've self-taught yourself a lot of things. And, maybe for those that are out there sitting at home, some of them could pick up some skills. And I know that's a tough ask.
Learn to code is what you're saying.
Whatever. I don't care. Just learn a new skill set and learn how to be a freelancer. And like, God, we're being dealt this really crappy hand. And I know it's easier for me to say because things are moving along kind of okay. But, maybe there's some bright sides of people kind of having to figure some new skill sets out and stuff.
The movie theaters are reopening this weekend. So
yeah, tell me what are you going to see.
Well, they're doing like a bunch of throwback stuff. So there's some new movies out that I haven't researched yet. I don't know what's going to be good, but they're doing a bunch of throwback movies. So they're showing they're showing Back to the Future. They're showing Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
And they're showing Jaws. So I'm probably going to see all three of those this weekend because I love all those movies. They're also showing a bunch of Marvel superhero movies, which I tend not to see.
Can you get popcorn?
I assume so. I don't know.
They better.
Yeah. What's a movie without popcorn?
That's true. Yeah, they better give popcorn. That's exciting stuff, though, to hear movie theaters are
I don't know what it's going to be like, the experience, and what they're going to require you to do, but I'm excited to go. Like, it's the first time in, 6 months almost that I've been to a movie. It'll be great.
Well, I'm going to take us down a quick rabbit hole, and that is, you mentioned movie theaters opening back up, and the church that I attended before all this craziness happened actually held all of its services in movie theaters on Sundays. And that's encouraging to hear that they're going to be opening back up because we're kind of beholden to the theater and their schedule and what they decide on. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun time.
Nice.
I want to bring it back to the post office real quick before we finish up. I wanted to talk about kind of the issue of mail-in ballots. And are you concerned about, a lot of people think that this is a lot of potential for fraud. What's your feeling on mail-in ballots?
I am going to say something that is the elephant in the room, and it's because I heard it first thing from a family member recently, and it's the harsh reality of what's going on. Not a fan of it, not even from a left or a right side of thing, but when a family member is willing to tell you that if, it's all mail-in ballots, that they will try to do a fake one or something like that, it just makes me think, okay, this is going to happen for reals. And I know it probably sounds ignorant to say that this hasn't already been happening, but to me it justifies evil from both sides is what I'm trying to get at with my point, is that when I heard that come out of this person's mouth, it was just like, damn, this is going to get ugly and ugly quick, and I think this could make it worse. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
My concern about it is they're just going to mail it out to everybody who's registered to vote, I guess. And like, I've lived in 8 states,
yeah,
and I'm registered to vote probably still in all of them because I didn't tell the voter registration people when I left that I'm not there. So like, how many people are going to get ballots for people that are either dead or don't live there anymore, or they just never bothered to notify the post office? There's a huge potential for problems there, and it's a difference between that and absentee ballots, because you have to actually request an absentee ballot. If people want to request an absentee ballot and have it sent to them, that's fine, but just sending it out to everybody who's registered, I think, has tons of potential for fraud, because you're going to get stuff for the people who lived in your apartment before you did, everything like that. And then when they receive them, I'm worried that it'll be really easy for people to just like find a trivial error on the ballot and say, well, we have to throw this out because it's not valid, and do it in a partisan way.
Yep.
So I'm concerned about the integrity of the election for that. And the real problem with all that is that if nobody accepts the election result, regardless of what happens, and there may be no way around this, regardless of what happens, because if they don't do mail-in ballots, they'll say that Trump suppressed the vote and it's not legitimate. But whoever wins, no one's going to think it was legitimate. Everyone's going to think it was fraudulent. And what happens then? What do we see in the country if everybody in the country, or half of the country, thinks the election was a complete fraud? I can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
Yeah, right now a lot of us have a lot of time on our hands, and our bank accounts are going down. Nothing's going up, and that means anger, and that means rage, and people being really upset. And that means we should probably drink and maybe end on a high note.
Fine with me.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for joining me, Trey.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I hope I get to come back on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.